record. Okay, thank you. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining me today. This is actually part two of Chris and Sharisa Hoke's journey in owning and operating a SpeedPro studio. The first part of the presentation that everybody saw was really the process in from executing their franchise agreement to um, just about right where they were about right before their ribbon cutting. So now we're going to focus on the journey from the ribbon cutting to where Chris and Sharisa are today. And again, I want to thank you both for joining and sharing your journey with us. But before we get started, if you guys don't mind, just talk to us about how things are going.
Uh, well, it's kind of open-ended. We're having a good time. I will say that having spent 30 years in the corporate world, it's very nice to look forward to coming to work every day, and I get to spend that time with my family. There's a picture of my wife and my daughter. I'm enjoying the experience quite a bit.
And and Sharisa, I want to just ask you, how does it feel to officially be open? Because I know, look, at the end of the day, nothing's perfect. Finding a location, you want to find it, get ready, get going right away. But how does it feel now to officially be open? And Chris, if you want to answer that as well, please do so.
Um, I just remember at one point it felt like it would never happen. So it's been great to actually open and sink our teeth into it and start helping people and yeah, spend every day with him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say it's in some ways a relief and then a different type of concern. When we first signed the agreement, real estate took a long time. So, like Sharisa said, it seemed to take longer than we had expected. But now that we're open, of course, we're excited about that. But then now the work is really on, right? So now we're not just waiting. Now we're actually making the sausage, right? So.
Well, since we've got the photos of the ribbon cutting, talk to us about that experience. And because I think a lot of the folks that are on this call now or eventually are going to be listening and watching, talk to us about the experience of the ribbon cutting. How did you get that planned and scheduled, and what was the outcome like after that?
Well, we had joined prior to us opening. We had joined a couple of different chambers, local smaller chambers, and so we planned with them our ribbon cutting, and we a lot of the people in those pictures are friends and family and former coworkers, and so we had a pretty good turnout, and we had a good time, and just made it a little party, and had a little fun there.
And you did comb the neighborhood, handing out invitations to other businesses, and so we spent a month trying to invite people
Right.
and get it all set up and everything.
So, and I want to maybe take a step back as well. So, you guys executed was it June or July of 2024?
June 10th of 2024.
Okay, and you officially, when was the ribbon cutting?
It
What,
was mid-April
Yes.
okay,
of this year, 2025. Yeah.
okay. So, still within, I would say, a year range of opening. And what I'd like to focus on a little bit is what are your biggest surprises, good or challenging, during the first 90 to 100 days of owning and operating your Speed Pro?
For me, it was probably learning the machines, getting used to the materials, and working with customers since I'd never done that before.
Yeah, I would say SpeedPro intentionally waits for the production training to immediately before the you open, which is and the reason is so you don't forget how to do things, right? And so when we were here with our own equipment and our own machines, now, now we get to try things out. And when sales coming in, it's fine to hear all of the information and learn all of the information, but when someone asks you for something unique, which every project is unique, then it turns into a research project, right? So there was quite a bit of research on the initial some of the initial orders that we've gotten, but that's kind of turned around because you see some patterns. But once you get your hands on and you really start doing things, you learn how to answer those questions, and you learn quicker. You have a quicker path to the solution to what people ask you. So.
Got it. And I want to. I'm looking at your studio from the outside right here. It looks beautiful. And I'm going to go through some pictures of the inside. Talk to us about your territory. It's Fort Worth West. How big's the building? Um, and talk to us about your staff, because I'm assuming it's you two and your daughter, or is she part time? Talk to us a little bit about the makeup of your staff, and then also territory and your studio.
Okay. Yeah, our territory is basically from downtown Fort Worth all the way to the western suburbs, and we live kind of on the far west side of our territory. And so initially intended to open either out there or kind of in the middle of our territory, but um, as it turned out, like I said, real estate was a little bit of a challenge, but in the end, we found this space which is almost right next to downtown Fort Worth, which I think is ideal. We're really close to a lot of businesses and that sort of thing. So our space turned out really great. We did wind up with 4,500 square feet, and it it is that light industrial type space, in that we have a big 14-foot garage door and a shop area. Right now you're kind of seeing the inside. Even though it's all air conditioned, we've got kind of an inside and an outside, two separate workspaces. Where the cars were, that was our other half. But anyway, it worked out great, our location, because this is a unique space in this area. It's kind of an older building, but all around us are kind of strip centers and hotels and things of that nature. So there's not a lot of other even though this is kind of a light industrial type unit, it's unique in this area. So it's kind of an interesting space. As far as our staff, it is just Sharisa and I, and our daughter Megan. She is full time. She has a little bit of a graphic design background. She did that all during high school and some college, and so she is both our production manager and our designer. And like I said, she really does a lot around here, and her and Sharisa are doing all of the social media right now as well. So yeah, she's full time.
Got it. Okay. This really is a family-run business. I love that. All right, talk to me a little bit about the training and support. So how did the onboarding and training, prepare you for the first few months? And were there specific moments when you really had to rely on the SpeedPro support after you got started?
I would say, as I mentioned before, the production training is like immediately before you open, and I personally was a little anxious because I wanted to learn sooner and do things sooner, but I understand why that is put off, because if you're not using that information, you'll forget everything you learned. So even though it made sense, it was a little frustrating to wait. Now, having said
Sure.
that, once we opened, we have found a tremendous amount of help from the Ask the Owners group. Any question you have, there's a email distribution list, and when you send a question out there, you almost immediately get multiple responses, and so much so that I've sent out questions and my phone just starts ringing and I can't answer the phone fast enough because everybody's calling to help. So the owners network has been a tremendous help in all of this getting started.
That's excellent. Um, all right. So what's been the most effective way you've built relationships and attracted your first customers? Talk to us a little bit about that experience, about getting customers, meeting with the customers, and are you doing consultative selling with them? Just talk to us about that experience so far, Chris and Sharisa.
Um, I would say a lot. Our customers are primarily coming from the networking we've done as far as in the chamber. Now, I do see that probably not uh, holding up long term because it's not high volume stuff, but uh, it was very helpful to build all those relationships with other small businesses before we opened. And so and a lot of them were waiting for us to open uh, in order to send us some business. After we opened, I would say a lot of our businesses come from, I don't want to say a lot, but some of our businesses come from our neighbors and our landlord. We have a construction company that has an office down the street, and they, I walked in and invited them to our grand opening, and they've come and ordered some whiteboards, custom whiteboards from us. And our landlord and I, I worked on him for about 4 months, and I think I just cracked the code. And so we started putting up some large, 4x8 real estate signs for him. We've done several in the last couple of weeks. So like I said, networking, and then our neighbors and other relationships we've built. So.
Got it. And how is the online marketing? Has that been able to penetrate any business or any customer relationships that you've been able to build from that?
Not really. We've struggled with. We did do the pay per click, and we've struggled to get any real results from that. So we're actually in the process right now of changing the provider and using a different vendor for our online marketing. And so we're hoping this new vendor will help us accelerate our online profile.
And that's the one thing I always tell folks is that first year there's a lot of learning, and learning how to market effectively, that always comes into play. So that, I mean, look, that feedback is important. And I think anybody who's on this call now or in the future, you know marketing is not a perfect plan initially, but it eventually becomes something that we're figuring out to execute on ongoing, and hopefully has long-term success. um, Talk to us about the day in the life, and maybe both of you can answer, but what's a typical day in the life now for you? Um, I know it's probably evolved over the last, let's say, 3 to 4 months, but if you look back, what is a typical day for you both?
Well, I don't know if you want to answer for yourself or you want me to answer for both of us. I will typically come in and I'll uh, check emails and make sure follow and do any follow ups that I need to. Sometimes since we're still small, I will do some assembly and I've been doing some installations myself. So depending on whether we've got an installation going, I may run out and do an installation. I think we kind of tag team some of the networking events. Like I said, we're part of two different chambers and a couple of other things. So when there are events happening at the same time, we'll split up, and one will go to one will go to the other, and then I fill in the gaps with personal visits, or reaching out to individual companies, and stopping by and introducing myself, and kind of spreading the word.
Yeah. It's Pretty much the same for me, except I do a little more accounting and office managerial stuff than Chris. But it's check your emails, and then start if we have any. If he needs help building something, I'm assistant, and then the networking, that's at least 3 days a week, and then you think you got everything planned, and then somebody needs an emergency banner,
Yeah.
and then we've got to print and do that. So you can get surprised almost every day.
Yeah, I would say every day is unique. We do have a daily meeting.
Yes,
we
we did.
Even though there's three of us and we all live in the same house, we first thing in the morning we have a meeting to make sure everybody's on the same page of what we're going to be doing for the day. And Megan does all the printing and cutting and all that sort of thing. And while we go off and do all of the networking and that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, and I think it's great practice to do that, Chris and Sharisa. I mean, getting in the habit of meeting every day before you guys are really, really busy, right? It gets in a good habit, and it's only going to help. I mean, I've been in studios that have been in business for over 20 years, and that's the first thing that they do is have that production meeting. Everybody's going over what their to-dos are for the day, and if there's anything that needs to be installed or any subcontract work, that's all discussed as well. All right, talk to us a little bit about, what's been your proudest moment so far since you've been officially open, and it could be vague too. I mean, again, there's no right or wrong answer here.
Yeah, I just remember the first. I was the assistant for Chris when we did about 6 windows with the window perf, and it was something Megan had helped design, and he got it up, and we're just like, wow, we found, we did it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you have a picture of it in your slideshow. That was pretty great. Megan did all of the design on that and worked with the owner of that business, and we went and personally did the install, and I think it turned out great. He was very happy and very complimentary of it, and so we were pretty excited about getting that up there.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
that's window perf. So
That looks beautiful. And talk to us about how you landed this job. Like, what was that experience like?
Uh, that one's actually kind of weird, because the relationship with this business. This is a new. He's a franchiser, franchise two. They do flooring, obviously, but it started out with a phone call. So a random lady called me and said, "Hey, I need the template for a Toyota Tacoma," and I was like, "Okay, who are you?" And so she was apparently a designer and that lives in Denver somewhere, and had worked with SpeedPros before, but was doing the design for his truck, which you had showed a slide of his truck as well. And she said, I'm gonna design his truck, and then I'm gonna send the business to you." And I said, "Okay, great." So we worked with her, and she sent him to us to do his truck. And he was very happy with that. And a couple of months later, he called and said, "Hey, I just moved into this place, and some of my neighbors have their windows done. Can you do the front windows?" So from that point on, we worked directly with him, doing his windows here.
Got it. It does look beautiful. I mean, the pictures themselves they really look real. So I'm sure looking at it in person, it looks even better. All right, talk to us a little bit about. I wanted to. So was this a personal vehicle that you wrapped? Talk to us a little bit about this vehicle, because when I first saw it, I was thinking about the Ghostbusters
yeah.
vehicle. I don't know if that was it looks really cool. So talk to us a little bit about this the vehicle that you wrapped, or at least you put graphics on.
Yeah, well, I kind of have a little bit of a hobby with classic cars, and so we, once we started this, we thought, well, we really need a company vehicle that we can use for installations and use for advertising and all of that sort of thing. And we do intend on wrapping our daily drivers as well, but you know how the cobbler's kids don't have any shoes, right? So we're working on that. But I stumbled across this. It's a 1963 panel truck, and for anybody that is familiar, it has an LS swap. So it's got a modern engine, air conditioning, and all that kind of stuff. And the back of it is completely open. And so I thought, oh, you know, this is great, you know, and it wasn't terribly expensive. So I thought, well, I can buy this and use it as a, you know, to go deliver signs or what have you. And because it's not your average everyday passenger van or transit van, I thought it would get more eyeballs. And so once we got it, we thought, you know, well, we can put some cut graphics on there. So Megan, our daughter, again, designed all that. I told her I wanted it to look hand painted, or you know, at least try to find a font. So we picked out those fonts and whatnot, and so we did all of that installation ourselves. And I've taken it to a few car shows, and it gets a lot of attention. And you know, I've handed out a lot of business cards at car shows with that vehicle. So it was just something fun to do, and you know, useful for the business in a small in a small way. But I drive it to all the networking events and everything,
Sure.
everywhere I can, because like I said, it gets a lot of eyeballs. So
Thank you. And all right, I want to change gears just a little bit, and so you know, we talked about, you know, maybe the struggles of finding the right location and then getting it opened and then anticipation. Talk to us a little bit about like the hurdles that you faced over the first 2 to 4 months, and then how you overcame them. So challenges, and then how you overcame those challenges. And it could be one example or numerous examples.
yeah, well, high level, I think I touched on, you know, in the beginning, everything feels like a research project. So someone asks for something, and sure, I can do that. And then I spend hours figuring out, okay, how am I going to accomplish this thing they want to do? But that is overcome just by determination to, you know, I know there's an answer out here. Let me just figure it out, and you know, help from the other owners. I would say probably the biggest hurdle I think has been the marketing, and we've worked with Josh at the home office, and you know, everyone's been very supportive, and you know, we tried several different iterations with our first vendor, and it just wasn't working out. And so I think, you know, I guess the ultimate way to get over that hurdle is we're changing vendors. And so I've heard good things from other owners from this new vendor, and you know, they will do, they're a little more do more work than the other vendors. They
offer more.
have more offerings. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that will kind of help us accelerate our marketing a little bit.
Got it. Okay.
And I think pricing was a challenge too.
Oh yeah.
But I think that just comes with time and learning, and then talking to customers and stuff like that too.
Yeah, and that kind of goes with the whole research project statement, that someone will ask for something that seems pretty basic, and I'll write it all up, and well, that's a crazy price. Why is that? And trying to reverse engineer the way our system calculates that, and okay, what do I want this price to be, and how do I need to modify this to make it, you know, kind of in a market range, and really learning the nuances. It's one thing though, and it's very straightforward to learn how to use the system, but there's a whole lot of nuances in there that you can tweak to kind of make your pricing a little more precise and market driven, especially on low volume things. You know, if you're producing one sign, it's a really, it comes out to a high price. Whereas if you're producing 100 signs, then it seems more realistic price. So it's just learning those nuances and learning how to manage through that.
Is there any advice that you can give the candidates on the call now to help prepare for the pricing aspect of it? Is there anything? If not, if the answer is no, then that's the answer. But is there anything people could do to help prepare? Um, so they don't feel like pricing is such a obstacle to overcome.
Well, I would say maybe call some other sign shops and also maybe look at some of the wholesale vendors that we use and see how much they charge to do certain things. And I would kind of choose some of the very generic things. Look at yard signs, banners, what else things some of the very basic type signage. Even what you're looking at there is a 4x8 uh, real estate sign. I mean, if you can find another sign shop in your area and call and ask them how much would it cost to create one 4x8
AC.
ACM sign, um, that will kind of stick a, a a marker of where you're trying what you're trying to hit. Because at first I don't know how much the signs cost or how much it should cost, and so I put it in the system, and it seems high to me, but maybe it's not. So you kind of need something to compare to know whether you're in the right ballpark or not. So yeah, calling other sign shops or looking at the wholesale vendors that produce those is a good start.
And so I'm assuming this job we're looking at, this was one 4x8 printed on one side, and then you screwed it into that existing um, post was there, I assume.
Yes, this is for our landlord, and they
Got it.
they're very budget conscious. And there was an existing sign there that was MDO that was produced by their previous sign vendor. And I don't know how long it had been there, but it was all splitting apart and cracking, and it looked horrible. And so some of their agents were complaining about it, and they said, okay, well, we just want you to go replace the face. And so I recommended that rather than using MDO, we switch to ACM. And when those black there underneath that, there's a permanent sign that is for the building. It was like an attorney at some point, and the previous real estate sign was screwed to that, and they had used fence pickets to hold it up, and the posts were all paint was all gone and missing, and so I took the old one down. I put nice deck boards and I painted them black and attached them to the back of the ACM. I spray painted the existing post to clean it all up, and then put it all back together with screws there. And so they were very happy with the end result. And again, it's just a temporary sign, but there was no reason I couldn't make it look 10 times better than it did.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks great. All right. I want to make sure that we cover the last few questions here. How has becoming a Speed Pro owner impacted you personally and or professionally?
Um, well, like I said at the beginning, I mean, I really enjoy this. We are still early in our journey, so I can't say it's made me rich yet, but I do see the trajectory going in the right direction. I see a very bright future for us, and that's exciting to think about. But just again, having spent 30 years in the corporate world and dreading the commute every day, uh, is a vastly different life to live than looking forward to coming to work every day and enjoying every minute of it. So it has made us, it has made me happier in my career.
Teresa, what about you? Now you get to spend all day with Chris. I mean, that's a win.
And Megan, it's honestly the scariest thing I've ever done. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's happier, and that we get to do this as a family, which is amazing. So I think it's been a great experience so far, even though it is scary.
Yeah, I hopefully, and I hear this from so many people, right? That that the Sunday scaries eventually go away, when you're thinking about the week in front of you.
Mm.
Um, and then it just becomes, hey, I've got all these projects. How are we gonna do it? And then by the end of the week, you get it all done, and then it starts all over the following week. But
Right.
all that hard work benefits all three of you, right? Um, all right. So I want to ask. So this is a good question. I kind of came up with this yesterday. Um, so what would you tell someone who is considering opening up a Speed Pro studio about what the few first months really are like? And because I think Chris and Sharisa, this is important. Because as we create this information, and you guys are the first ones to do this part one, part two, part three, right? So in 6 months from now, we're gonna interview again, and we're gonna talk about where you guys are at. But this is kind of the first. But I think it's important. What are the first few months really like as an owner? I know you've already kind of talked about it, but if you could kind of sum it up, Chris, like what is it really like as an owner?
Well, I think, and I guess it's probably unique for everybody, depending on how much selling you do before you open. For us, our, even though we did have a few things in the pipeline, we weren't doing a lot of production, which was actually good for us because that gave us time to slow down and really, do things more than once. You will mess up prints, and something won't come out right, or you try to laminate it and it wrinkles all up, and you got to start over. You try to stick it down and there's wrinkles in it, and you got to peel it off, and you feel like you're throwing away more than you're selling. So, but that's the learning process, right? And so, it was kind of a relief to not be too terribly busy in the beginning, so that we could go through that and we could, learn as we go. The other half of that was building up our studio. We we had construction done so that the outlets were there and the equipment was in, and we had the desks and all that kind of thing. But I've been building shelves and decorating the walls. We wrapped two different walls in here, and so we've tried to spruce up the studio just from bare walls to putting things up. I know a lot of other owners have told us that, if I can get someone in my studio, I can always make the sale because they can put their hands on and see the things that we're able to produce. And so I kind of embraced that and took that as a challenge to try to come up with a variety of different things that we're able to do and have them and create them here in the studio for ourselves. So that when somebody comes in, I can say, yeah, let me show you, we made this and we made that, and here's an example of the thing that you're wanting. So yeah, the first few months were slow, a little bit of slow sales, but really working hard to try to create things here in the studio and learn to make sure we're using our equipment correctly, and we are get used to everything being sticky and having things stick together the way they're supposed to. And there's an art to it, and once you learn it, then it seems pretty easy once you learn how to do it. But at first, it seems a little overwhelming. But after a few times, it all comes into being.
Yeah, what you mentioned a few things, but I really like, if you think about it, you built your career over 30 years, really, both of you, right? And this is an opportunity that after a couple of years, right, that of you're expediting this process by owning your own business, and the future, who knows? It's endless, possible outcomes. But with that being said, what excites you the most about the future of your studio and being part of the network?
Uh, I guess that's a
I know for me,
yeah,
it's going to be getting busy enough we can hire more people. I think that's
yeah.
the neat thing to look forward to, that it grows that much for me.
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to being, self-sustaining and profitable. Actually,
Yeah.
I look at I see, we went to the convention last year and met a lot of the owners, and I've been to their studios, and it seems like a dream to be uh, in the position they're in, with getting new equipment and expanding and doing some really neat and creative projects. Some of the things that they post pictures of that they've done are just incredible, and I I'm really excited to be able to be a part of something like that, and to be able to create those kinds of things, and in such a way that is profitable to us, and uh, is financially sustainable long term.
Right. I think you guys are you're on the right path. There's a lot of learning during the first year, and that's I expected that to come out of your mouths today, right? I mean, um, and that's why I'm really excited to do these, because I feel like a lot of franchises wait for people to be 3 to 5 to 7 years before they start to interview them, and I think this is a great opportunity for new candidates before they buy can actually experience what it is like. Hey, I just executed my agreement. Here's my journey. Okay, now I just had my ribbon cutting. Here's my journey. And that's why I really appreciate you guys sharing both those journeys with us. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the folks on the call now or in the future, when they plan on watching and listening?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of follow up on what you just said, we did uh, see some of the other videos, and meet the people that are in those videos, and they're very successful, and we can't wait to be in their shoes, but it's certainly not a light switch. You do have to build it, and so I'm enjoying the building process. If you enjoy creating things, and watching it grow, and that sort of thing, knowing, or at least hoping, to reach the heights that the other owners have. I mean, like I said, even though we're still early and still building, I'm enjoying every minute of it. So that has value as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris and Teresa. I really appreciate it. This is going to go out to the candidates, now, that I'm working with, and then also in the future. So this is going to be watched for years to come, and I really appreciate it. And part three will be done over the next, probably in 2026. So I will probably see you both at convention in Orlando in October, and I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you very much, and thank you for everybody's participation. And I will talk to everybody